Hi, I'm Mel.
Jesus. That was aggressive. This is the introduction. You screaming.
Yes.
All right, and I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
All right.
It's our new introduction.
It's very, very aggressive. For what is supposed to be a fun time.
A fun time. Good times. Yep.
All right, today we're doing Rewatch. It is a Murder Mamas Rewatch extravaganza.
An Unsolved Mysteries that you can find on Netflix. Where is Josh?
Where'd he go?
I don't know. We don't know yet. We haven't watched it. So you're going to hear our live account. But not live because you're going to watch it. Record.
Just stop. Just stop.
All right. Here we
All
go.
right, where's Josh?
Where did he go?
Joshua Giemel vanished from an apartment near St. John's University.
It's been 5 years since a St. John's student was
This
last
week
seen.
marks 15 years since Josh Giemel went
The
missing.
St. John's Jr. disappeared while walking home from a party.
He hasn't been seen since.
I think Josh had secrets just like everybody else has secrets.
Do you have secrets?
Do
But
we
I
all
don't
have
care
secrets? Don't
what
we
Josh
all have
was
secrets?
doing.
How many secrets do you have?
Oh, I have a shit ton of secrets.
Really?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Like if you went missing, would it be because of your secrets?
No, I don't think like that kind of secret.
Yeah, because like if I went missing, I have no secrets.
No. Like I have secrets, like secret credit card.
All right, well,
That kind of secret.
keep those secrets.
So we're in November 9th, 2002 at St. John's University in Collegeville, Minnesota.
That's how you know there's a lot going on in that town.
That night, Josh was at a party playing poker with some friends at a dorm on campus.
Oh, I'm
Josh
from
arrived at the
Minnesota.
party around 11:30 at night that evening. And some
I just want to point one thing out. It really bothers me when people say 8:30 a.m. in the morning. The a.m. means morning. You don't have to do the duplicative effort of saying in the morning.
It's true.
11:30 at night that evening.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
sometime before midnight, people start realizing that Josh isn't there.
Josh must have made a really big impression to be at the party
For 30 minutes.
less than 30 minutes.
Less than.
Like
I said, maybe they were playing poker. Maybe he had like a really good hand and then was like, hey, I gotta go use the John, and then never came back. And like people don't use the Johns at parties for 30 minutes. I don't know.
sometimes they do.
A couple of people at the
Depends on
party
what
had
kind of
noticed a male
bathroom
get up and
activities
leave,
they
but they
have.
weren't quite sure if it was Josh.
Josh just wasn't at the party anymore.
Just vanish.
Gone.
And there's no answers.
Did they deal him out? What did they do with his poker hand? All right, now we're in Maple Lake, Minnesota.
Did they steal his poker chips?
Yeah, like what happened to his chips?
Graduation.
Oh, yeah.
He was so
Oh,
proud of his
graduation.
speech. I remember him being just like working on that speech so hard.
I remember that,
So
yeah.
hard.
Well, that's when him and Katie were
I
helping with the
love this
Special
accent
Olympics.
so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Oh man,
I forgot
yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Here's Katie and Josh from prom. Josh and I grew up together. We went to school together. In our sophomore year of high school, we started dating. So Josh was my high school sweetheart.
Aww,
He is very handsome,
so cute.
blonde with blue eyes. He was athletic. He had a great sense of humor. And I think a lot of people didn't get to see that side of him because he always came.
Can you say that louder? Just describe what you just did.
I saw Josh posing for a baseball pitcher with his bat up, not in the right stance.
And she touched the computer and said, that's not the right
It's
stance.
not the right stance. Dude.
Across as very confident and studious. Oh my gosh, look at how serious he is right there. You
Oh
guys
my
both look
gosh.
so grumpy. Like everyone else in the picture is smiling. Josh and I, we met when we were in about second grade and then became really close at the end of high school. After that, we still stayed close.
Look at his lips.
Josh was nominated as most likely to succeed in our high school class, and I really believe that he would have succeeded.
So it sounds like Josh was really smart and kind of popular because he was prom king.
Josh is a smarty.
So
And class president.
Right? I mean, are we gonna? Well,
Josh liked to have a lot of fun. He was outgoing. He was always happy.
It's coming out of his ears.
Smarter than he should have been.
13 years ago, we were branded as special from the very beginning. We were the class of 2000.
Josh was interested in being a lawyer, and even
I was
as
the
a
class
kid,
of
you could
99.
tell
I was
by the
gonna
way
say.
he would talk to you when you talked to him
been
about
around that.
things. He would always be questioning.
Society may change, but good, solid teaching never will.
As soon as Josh was going to turn 35, he was running for the next presidential election. He planned on going to law school once we finished college, and then from there he was going to be a lawyer, and then from there he would be a politician, and eventually he would be the president.
That sounds horrific.
When we went to college,
I can't imagine.
I know that there has to be people with that dream.
Oh yeah, obviously everyone in the Senate right now.
I'm saying, like, I get that that's a dream for people. That is literally my nightmare.
The last job on earth I would take.
Yes.
I would rather be a janitor at a movie theater. I'm saying movie theater because I'm hoping that means it's not as dirty. I'm not going to say like carnival place because that's dirty, but I'll be a janitor at a movie theater over being in Congress.
I would become a landscaper that clips grass one by one with a fucking cuticle scissors before I became a politician.
Yeah, no, that's a job that you're born with that already in your brain, wired. Like, you just grow up and you're like, that's it. You can't decide to do that, like, after college or whatever. Like, you're groomed, like, when you're 5 and your parents
But even
have,
like the desire to be the president?
I know, that's a lot. That's a lot.
No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
No, thank you.
Unless you want to age 15
I really want to
years.
know what secrets they've uncovered about this person
Yeah.
post disappearance. Ooh,
we decided to go to similar schools. I went to the College of St. Benedict, which is all female, and he went to St. John's University. St. John's is an all-male school. They are 2 separate campuses, but a joint college. So we were able to have classes together and continue our relationship in college.
Dude, why don't they just have one big college?
My sophomore year, I joined the mock trial team with Josh, who
What's the fucking point of having a man and then a women's and then joining them to do classes together? Like, just fucking have a college.
Maybe it's just like dorm room separation.
Okay. I was on the same level as the boys. Like, we had one wing was boys and one wing was girls, but we were all on the same level together.
I'm saying, like, maybe they were
separated, but like,
completely separate.
Jesus Christ.
was a year behind me at St.
Very
John's.
upset about this.
Josh struck me pretty quickly as someone who I knew I could trust, a very intelligent person and a very easy person to get along with. As we, got to know each other better, we realized we had a lot in common.
That was a last name. Hidukovic? Did you see his last name?
I didn't
That
even
was
see it.
intense.
My senior year, his junior year, we were roommates, and I was one of his best friends at the time he disappeared.
He looks like he's gonna cry.
He did.
The last time I saw Josh was the week before down at McAllister College watching a mock trial.
Did you see his eyes? No, we're not a bashing podcast.
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm laughing at. Just
No, that's what I was laughing
the
at.
accent. I love this accent so much.
The accent's funny, but the eyes make you
Stop. Stop. You're being rude. You're being rude. You're being rude. I love his accent.
Yes,
This
his
accent
accent
gives me big, like this one, Minnesota and like Boston.
Yeah.
Like Massachusetts accent. I like.
Boston's thick, though. I can't understand it half the time.
Can you understand this?
I can understand this one.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
Top tier. It's
Really?
like the best U.S. accent, I think.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I don't know.
No?
Yeah. mean,
I think
guess.
it's like better than Southern videos, and I love it so much. I love watching her videos.
Yeah.
And she says, "In a cup of milk, a cup of milk, milk," and it cracks me up. But I love this accent.
Okay.
I love his dad. He has a wonderful accent.
Yes.
He won a number of awards, and I told him, yeah, he did real good. Told him I loved him, and said, we'll see you next time, you know.
You know.
That was it.
On Saturday, November 9th, 2002, Josh and I went to brunch together. And at some point, we got an invitation.
Boys
from
who
Katie
brunch.
saying, "Do you guys want to come over and hang out with me and my roommates tonight?" And so I thought, I'll go over to Katie's and hang out with them tonight. But Josh also got an invitation from some other friends who were playing poker that night and other guys.
So they get invitations, like paper invitations?
No. Don't be. You're so
Apartment.
No. The only reason why I say that is because Preston's grandpa, when Preston wants to have his friends over at their house to stay for like overnight, because their house is a lot bigger than ours and they have like a game room and a pool. So his grandpa said, next time you have friends over, I want you to send out paper invitations at least 2 weeks in advance to give the kids notice that you're inviting them over. And then I want each of their phone numbers and email addresses of all the parents and the kids before anyone else comes over. That's why I'm making fun of that. Because I was like, who the fuck sends out a paper invitation? I'm like, these kids literally said last night, hey, do you want to get together tomorrow at my grandpa's house? Sure. Okay. And then they all got dropped off there.
Is he putting them on his insurance policy or something? What the fuck?
But that's the only reason why I had that. I was like, flashback.
He's a weird dude.
So the last
can
time I
cut that
saw
out.
him would have been after dinner, probably 6:37.
Just shake your head no.
He was with his friend Alex in our apartment. Just said, hey, I'm going to head over. And Josh said, hey, okay, have fun. And I said, yeah, you guys have a good night too. We'll see you later. And that was it.
Oh, he looks
You
so
can
sad.
tell how sad he is.
Yeah. So he was
think it
at
was
his
sometime
friend's
alone.
house, and then he got a call.
No. He was
yeah.
at his apartment.
Oh, he was at his apartment.
Yeah.
And then he
So he was going to go
to the other place.
to the other place. He was
Okay.
going to go with his friend,
Okay.
but then he got the invite to the poker party
To the
that
poker
he
party.
attended for
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
25 minutes.
After 2 a.m., when I left Katie's apartment, I went home. I went upstairs. I noticed Josh wasn't in his room. But I just said, oh, he must still be at the party. The next morning, I saw he still wasn't there. And I thought that was weird. I checked my AOL Instant Messenger. His account had been idle for probably over 12 hours.
The
So all I
sound.
could think of it.
The sound.
Brings back memories.
Oh my god. The screeching fax machine sound.
Yeah.
Do you remember the times when you couldn't be on the phone
Yeah.
and the internet at
Yeah.
the same time? We didn't have AOL at my house because
So you didn't?
I don't know why. But my neighbor across the street did.
Yeah.
And we would go in like little chat rooms and
Oh
stuff,
yeah,
you
we'd
know?
go in the chat rooms all the time.
Which
disgusting.
is horrifically scary now
Yeah.
that I'm a parent.
Yep.
And her mom would like, I need to make a phone call. Like scream at us. It's wild.
It was like, where is he? I talked to Greg and Alex because he was with both of them the previous night, but they didn't know where he was.
Also, okay, how scary is it to be a roommate like in college and have your friend not show up and he's supposed to be there in the morning but he's not there? Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, are you supposed to overreact and be like, oh my god, where's my friend? Or are you supposed to just play it cool and be like, oh, he must just be like still out? Because I remember going out with a couple of friends up in LA, and my friend and I went home back to her house, and then the one friend went back home to her house, and we could not get a hold of her the next day. We called her, we left messages, we called. We finally called her parents. They couldn't get a hold of her, and we were about to call 911 to go do a welfare check, and then she called back, and she was like, I wasn't feeling good. Please stop calling me. And I'm thinking, like we were sick and worried. What happened to this girl, Like, so that's what, I don't know. It's like you have a college roommate and like, what are you supposed to do? What's the right answer?
I think it depends on the roommate,
I guess.
you know.
But it's scary. Like, you're with someone one night and then you can't get a hold of them at all for the next 24 hours. Like, we were freaking out.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone MIA.
No, I've never gone in my... This other girl did. And we were, like, scared to death.
No, I followed your story. I'm just saying,
okay.
like, me
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
But I also don't think I've ever had anyone go
MIA?
not like that.
That was a
I used to
scary...
do so many dangerous things.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my friend.
Oh, I don't know how
many
we-
dangerous things.
Still alive.
But I stopped drinking fairly young. I used up all my blackouts pretty young, so...
Yeah, I was done drinking at 26. That's when I got pregnant with Preston.
Well, I was like 20.
Oh, you were done drinking at 20?
Yeah, like I haven't really drank since... I think the last time I like drank was when I was 23.
Oh, wow.
So like a long time.
Yeah.
So like I'm saying, like fairly young. So then I became just like the DD for everyone.
Right.
And man...
That's annoying, too.
Come pick me up.
Yeah.
And then I get there and their phone's dead and I'm trying to...
Oh,
my
God, no. Fuck that. There's
It was
no way I could do
awful.
that. Yeah. I'm just making sure it's going.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I think it was probably 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and Nick called me and asked if I knew where Josh was because he had said that Josh missed the mock trial meeting. And I remember thinking that was very out of character.
Okay, so he did miss something. So that's a...
I knew something was
huge
wrong.
red
I
flag.
knew something had happened to
Well,
him.
and
Or
I mean, you hear her say like that's very
Yeah.
out of character.
Right.
something was preventing him from coming back because I knew he wouldn't have just left on his own. So I was really worried.
I got a call from the Dean of Students Sunday night at 10:30 on November 10th.
I like to imagine, I know I'm stopping a lot, but I like to imagine this scene where like his mom is longingly looking over her scrapbook.
Yeah.
And the director of Unsolved Mysteries being like, make sure you're real sad. like, what is the direction there? Like,
I know.
all right, we're going to set you perfect lighting.
Right.
And then like play this sad music and you have to be very,
Very sad.
solemn.
Yeah.
Like,
That's rough.
that's all I can think about.
And he said, you need to report your son missing. His friends haven't seen him
She has
since last night.
no lips.
Uh-uh.
Like,
I was
non-existent.
extremely scared and freaked out.
Germany.
Immediately, I knew it was a very serious situation.
You're not thinking much at that point in time. Your only kid's missing. You don't know what to do.
The call from Joshua's mother reporting Joshua's disappearance came in November 10th at 11:42 in the evening. The sheriff's office did do a search of his apartment.
So that's like a whole
full
day. Yeah. They waited a whole day.
I would classify it more as a
If you wait a whole day, the police can't tell you you have to call back.
That's true. It's already been 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no, he's been missing since 2 days ago.
just a walkthrough.
Oh, actually, I got my calendar wrong.
At the time,
I'm looking at the wrong
Looking
month.
for signs of a struggle, signs of any type of criminal activity. Might even be looking for suicide notes or anything that would kind of lead a clue to his whereabouts. But it looked like a normal college kid's
Okay.
room. You know, the TV had still been on. There was nothing that seemed out of the ordinary or anything of a criminal nature.
they looked at some of his personal effects, like his wallet. You know, some of those things might give you an indication
So
if
his
he
wallet
left
is
and
still
planned to
there?
be gone for a little while. If he
Like
back.
he was going to a party and then going to a poker game and he left his wallet? Don't you
Yeah,
think
that's
weird?
very strange.
If you're going to a
me.
poker game, you're gonna have to bring money with you, I would assume, right? Or at least that's what Auntie used to do when he played poker. Like, you'd have to have a buy-in.
Unless your buy-in is something that you can't put money, monetary value on.
I don't, yeah. He's college student. He's not that.
I remember his keys were there, and we looked and
Keys?
checked, and his car was still in the parking lot
His
where I
car?
remember him last parking. And so we knew he hadn't driven anywhere.
And they saw Josh's eyeglasses and contact cases still present. And, you know, that to me would be something that you'd for sure take if you're going to maybe
So did he go home?
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't say. Or did he got a ride with someone else, I thought they said.
There was a friend, but I'm saying, like, he didn't have glasses or his contacts.
Or his wallet.
Like, that's
a lot.
As a fellow
contact wearer,
hard of seeing individual, I can't do things without.
And if I'm going to be gone late, like, I know there's been games where, like, it's gone into, like, 11 o'clock at night with Preston. I actually bring my case with me and, like, fill it up with contact solution so I can just take out my contacts and put them on my glasses because it's just too long.
Yeah.
So, like, people who have contacts or glasses bring that shit with them. They don't leave that. They need it.
Well, you also don't leave your keys.
No. Or your
Start a new life or something somewhere.
You gotta wear your contact lenses to get around, so with the contact lens case being open with no contact lenses in it, we just figured he didn't come home and that he was still somewhere on campus. There's no reason to believe that anything else had happened. It was not uncommon for kids to just spend a night somewhere other than their dormitory. So we talked to Joshua's friends and roommates to help track his movements and activities the night before his disappearance.
They look so wholesome.
Josh and his friends were in Josh's apartment at St. Maur House. They left the apartment to go to the party at 75 Metten Court, which was about a 5-minute walk away.
We do know that Joshua's key card was used to access his apartment at 11:06, which we believe was him going back into the apartment to retrieve a few more beers. And that was the last time Josh key-carded back into his apartment.
So he didn't go back.
St. John's University is a really small campus. I mean, student body of 2,000. There's not a lot of distance between any of the buildings. Joshua's dormitory, St. Maur House, is more in the central middle part of the campus. The Metten Court apartments where the party was is more on the northern border of the campus. There's a lake that stretches through the campus that would keep you from going directly from the Metten Court apartments to St. Maur House. The poker party that Joshua went to was a pretty small gathering, 10 to 12 kids. Some of them knew who Josh was, but didn't know him terribly well, and then there was some people who didn't know him at all and had just met him that evening. They said he showed up at the party between 11:30 and 12, and that Josh had a few drinks and was playing cards.
I talked to a lot of Josh's friends who were at the poker party with him, and the way they describe him, you know, he was in a good mood. He was having a great time. He was joking around. He was acting like his normal self at the party.
Some thought that he had been intoxicated, and some thought he was still sober enough to be able to walk and talk and, you know, keep control of himself.
Can you not be intoxicated and also walk at the same time? Like, I'm saying you could be drunk and still walk and be fine, or you can be fucking wasted. Which one was he?
That's a huge spectrum.
That's what I'm saying. Like
between, like, literally cannot walk.
So what was he? Good point.
I mean, it's been 30 minutes. Like,
right,
that is not even
enough. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't drinking before that.
Sure.
Like, they were at the apartment and
that's
probably doing pre-drinking. I don't know. I used to pre-drink.
I feel like, I mean,
I've never showed up anywhere sober. That's lame.
You know, in Boston they call those road sodas?
Road soda? God, good lord. No. Absolutely not.
Yeah. You gotta get a road soda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's too big of a spectrum.
Yeah, for me that is.
And, like, you're wearing shoes, you know? Like, it's not like you're a girl wearing heels where, like, you're adding a layer of complexity into your ability to drunk walk.
And you don't have a wallet. Like, he doesn't have an ID.
You're wearing regular shoes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I think he'd be fine.
You're probably fine.
Yeah.
Eventually, they saw Joshua get up from the table, and nobody really paid attention to where he was going. According to people at the poker party, he just got up and left the party without saying anything to anybody.
Irish exit.
One person stated they believed he was going to the bathroom. In this case, both the apartment front entry door and the bathroom are kind of in the same direction, so if someone wasn't paying attention, they wouldn't know which way he was going.
I can't remember any time that he had done
I'm assuming it wasn't the bathroom since he's still missing. Right?
Could have got flushed down the toilet.
that previously, where he would have just left without saying goodbye.
maybe he's stuck in the Looney Tunes world from Space Jam. he got sucked.
He got sucked in.
Okay, this is insensitive. My kid really likes Space Jam.
The Josh I knew would tell the people that he came with that he was leaving.
That first night of the investigation, a tracking dog was called in to track Josh's scent.
I like that they're taking it seriously.
Yeah.
That pathway that's between Metten Court Apartments and St. Maur House. And the trail kind of stopped there.
Which is a road.
Yeah.
At the time of Josh's disappearance, I was a crime and courts reporter for the St. Cloud Times newspaper, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Within hours of Josh disappearing, I was made aware that they had a missing persons case at St. John's University. They brought in bloodhounds pretty quickly after Josh disappeared, and I believe one of the bloodhounds hit on an area on a bridge that would have been on the path from the card game to where Josh lived. And then they found two witnesses.
Oh.
Through our investigation, we identified two witnesses that were students. One was a St. John student, one was a St. Ben student, so basically a guy and a girl.
Between 12:15 and 12:30, they were walking down the road towards the Metten Court Apartments. When they got down in that area near the footbridge by Stumpf Lake, they noticed a man wearing a hooded sweatshirt with a pair of blue jeans, and the overall physical description matched that of Joshua's. They continued to walk, and when they looked back a second time, that person wasn't there any longer.
What the fuck?
What?
He just disappeared?
That doesn't... No. That's not possible.
How long were they walking before they turned around? And
Yeah,
looked
like
back? Maybe
it
he
could-
ducked around a corner or something.
It could not have been what was just shown
No.
to us, where they turned and like he had
was
walked a distance of maybe 10 feet and was gone.
And there's no area to duck and turn around. Like,
Yeah.
it's just open.
Yeah, no. All right.
And that was about at the same time that Josh left the party, so it is believed that that was Josh.
The witnesses didn't
doppelganger.
report seeing anything or anyone else. No other people, no other cars, no indication of what might have happened.
And his scent stopped right there?
Just he up and vanished, you know. There's nothing to lead us in one direction or another.
Have we considered rapture?
He's here one minute and gone the next.
Josh was missing. His friends didn't know where he was. Nobody had seen him. So I was extremely worried because it was out of character and it was not Josh.
I would just like to point out that if I went and disappeared in one of my parties when I was in college, they would be like, that's totally in character, and she takes off walking all the time by herself, all pissed off and drunk.
That's
the scary part.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I used to do that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, I'm done being here.
Right.
And I would just leave.
I would too.
My sister lived in Boston with her husband, but fiance, boyfriend at the time. And I flew out there to visit, and we went to Martha's. Have I told you this story before?
No.
We went to Martha's Vineyard for 4th of July.
Oh,
This was the last
yeah.
time I got drunk. Like, drunk. And I drank a lot. My sister's older than me by a few years.
Yeah.
And I really let my 23-year-old show.
Yeah.
And
I've done that plenty of times.
I was feeling anxious at the bar, and like someone was having some sort of medical emergency outside, so you were not allowed to go on the patio. So then I was stuck inside, and the anxiety really got to me, and I was like, I do not want to be here anymore. So I left. I didn't tell anyone.
Nope.
I just left.
I do that too.
I found a taxi, and I was taking the taxi back to this house that they had rented in Martha's Vineyard. I don't remember how I knew where to tell the taxi to go. And then my sister called me and was like, get out of that taxi. We're all going back together. And I was like, okay. So then I met her, and then they had to wait for a taxi. And I said, I fucking hate you. I was in a taxi that was driving.
Right.
And you told me to get out.
Yep.
So then I just started walking.
Yeah.
And very, very quickly, from like downtown Martha's Vineyard-y type area to where the houses were and this main road through it, it went from like lights and life to just tree-lined road with pitch black.
Yeah.
But I was already so deep into it that I literally sprinted from street light to street light.
Okay.
Terrified. I don't know how long it took me. I made it back to that house, sat down at a table outside, and passed the fuck out.
Good night.
And that was the last time I drank.
So now we're at November 11th, 2002.
He's gone for 36 hours.
Numerous agencies involved in the search efforts. The Stearns County Sheriff's Office was the lead investigative agency. The National Guard was eventually called in to help with searches because, the college campus part itself where, students would go was relatively small, but the area owned by St. John's was massive.
I'm
St. John's
surprised they
University
took this
is
so
a
serious.
private college campus on several hundred acres. It's in a rural area in Stearns County. There's just a lot of ground to cover, from swamps to lakes to wooded, hilly, thick terrain.
I guess so.
Tuesday, they brought in the horses, and they searched the campus and the ravines. And then on the third day, Wednesday, they let us search with them. And they broke us up into groups.
Sorry, go back up here. We're going to the footbridge.
I went out physically searching, walking around the campus. There was hundreds of people there.
It was probably the biggest search effort that I've ever seen. Probably would be the biggest search effort in the county.
I was scared to death because we're looking for our friend in this brush for whatever we could find, and we didn't see anything.
I really wanted to know what happened to him. I wanted to be found. I didn't want to be the one who found him.
No,
that's gotta be
Joshua
horrific.
Amon is still missing tonight. If you have any...
The FBI was brought in rather early in the case.
Authorities in Minnesota and Wisconsin have a disturbing mystery on their hands.
At the time that Josh disappeared, there was several college-age students that were missing.
All were about the same age, vanished at night. Could the unsolved disappearances be linked?
There was a theory that a serial-type killer was traveling up and down the Mississippi River here and abducting these people and killing them.
Chris
That
Jenkins
theory is-
disappeared after...
That's frightening.
Theory is still out there.
Yeah.
People think that about in Austin, there's a serial killer. Because right by Rainy Street, there's that Ladybird Lake, and they keep finding dead bodies in Rainy Lake. And we just had a bunch of the dead bodies here in Houston in the bayous. I think one in Chicago, too.
Really?
They keep finding, like, dead bodies in Chicago.
After a Halloween party at this bar in Minneapolis. 6 days later, Michael Knoll, a 22-year-old college student, vanished after celebrating his birthday at a party in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
These are all young men, people like Josh, who are successful, driven, ambitious.
All within a 100-mile radius of Minneapolis. But two other key elements tie the cases together: alcohol and water.
The Michael Knoll and Chris Jenkins cases happening at so close to the same time added confusion to Josh's case that maybe wouldn't have been there if there hadn't been so many other things happening. Connecting things that aren't connected can really screw up the investigation.
Both local law enforcement and the FBI say, while they haven't ruled out a connection, there's no evidence the disappearances are related.
Are their stories connected? At this point, all they know and all we know for sure is that their
so
children
young.
are nowhere to be found.
Oh my god.
During the initial searches for Josh, canine was brought in, and the dog led us down to the water by the bridge. So the thought was, did he fall in the water? Did he go down to the water? Was he intoxicated and stumble? He may be in the water.
Did they search the
Our
water?
searches included dragging for a body, divers in the water, boats where we're using sonar technology.
That's a big lake, too.
Seeing that lake being dragged was like the most surreal, probably awful memory I have. I'm out here looking for my best friend that police think is at the bottom of this lake. I couldn't believe the craziness of it and the gravity of it, and it just takes a toll.
But as winter set in, there was some thought because the water was so cold, in some instances freezing over early on, that if Josh was in the water, his body may never surface until the water temperatures rose.
So if it's cold, his body will stay at the bottom?
That's what it sounds like.
Like, because it's ice? Or cold? Why wouldn't it float up to the top?
I'm not a scientist. I think there's also something where they go in, like, where bodies that are in really cold water, they do something like saponification, where, like, the fat turns into, like, I don't know how to describe it.
She's rubbing her fingers together.
Like, it almost preserves them.
Oh.
In a way.
Yeah, okay.
So we did suspend the search activities in the waters, and we would just wait until the spring.
That sucks.
They don't have a choice.
I know.
But, you know,
I know.
It happens all the time where, like, people find...
Yeah.
Like, cars. I watch sometimes on YouTube these rescue, like, divers, basically, that go and, like, solve missing persons cases by finding cars that have been searched a ton of times. Cars in lakes. And the lakes have been searched a ton of times.
Right.
And they've never found the vehicle. And, like, these people use different technologies and they find them and they bring them up. And, like, finally these families get closure after sometimes, like, 20, 30 years.
For sure. I could see that. I mean, it's not foolproof, so.
For sure.
You know, as fall turned into winter, it was really frustrating because it felt like there were no more search activities on campus. It felt like everything sort of stopped.
The entire time.
And there was really nowhere else to look.
I'm sorry.
Felt helpless.
I was asked by people at St. John's how I would feel about having somebody else move into Josh's room. But I said no, I didn't want that to happen. I thought that was a really awful idea. It was hard, even just seeing that closed door every day, because it was sort of symbolic of, that's Josh's room, but now it's just this closed door.
I'm not sure how I finished that semester when Josh disappeared. It was unimaginable. He and I had a class together that semester, and I never went back.
Emo was last seen about midnight, and they left a party. There was search after search. No sign of him. His family pleaded for police to do more.
Josh is out there somewhere. There's been no body found, so we got no reason to believe he's dead.
To be honest with you, I don't think Brian was satisfied with the direction we were taking the investigation, the speed in which we were doing the investigation, our attention to the investigation, and he wanted answers to what happened to his son.
Rightfully so.
Right, I was going to say.
Around that time, the family brought in a
Now we're in
bloodhound
50
to
days
help
missing
with the search.
in December.
Second, third time since summer.
It's not uncommon for those bloodhounds to be able to pick up the scent long after an individual has gone missing, weeks and months afterwards. This dog traced Joshua's scent from Metten Court to Stump Lake, then to Josh's apartment at St. Maur House, then to St. John's Abbey.
Which is like not
Whoa.
close.
St. John's University is a fairly unique institution. It's a religious college. There's a monastery on campus, and some of the monks are professors. At the time Josh disappeared, there was a lot of news stories coming out about things happening at the monastery or the abbey at St. John's.
More allegations of clergy sex abuse at St. John's Abbey in Collegeville.
Today in Stearns County Court, 2 civil lawsuits were filed alleging abuse of students dating back some 40 years.
Today, another
Did something happen to like that to Josh? And someone got rid of him? Or did he know something?
Seems strange.
I don't know. Like, it's weird that all of a sudden these stories start coming out after this one kid disappears.
Victim stepped forward claiming a monk molested him inside the school. This is the fourth lawsuit filed against a monk at St. John's Abbey.
Before he disappeared, Josh and I talked about the sexual abuse scandal at the Abbey, and Josh was just irate about it. He was very upset that that kind of thing was happening and that it had been covered up.
Brian had told us that he believed Joshua was doing research into the sexual misconduct, specifically for a research paper.
200.
We looked at his computer. We saw other research papers, but I didn't see anything pertaining to that.
So, when the search led to the Abbey with the bloodhound,
She's casting right over here.
when the dog started to get into more intrusive areas where the general public's not typically allowed, St. John's ended up contacting us to kind of deal with it.
Brian Gimone asked that the search continue inside the Abbey, and they were denied access. Later, our office was called, and were able to obtain consent to search through the Abbey with the dog.
Now she wants to go back over there. Go back up to the Abbey.
The dog found Josh's scent inside the Abbey near the rear of the building, but no evidence of Josh was ever found.
Bloodhounds can be trained to do any number of things, tracking and trailing old scent, finding human remains if they're trained for that, but they aren't always accurate, and our office was skeptical of that particular dog team at the time.
There are about...
Your office was wrong, because
Right.
dogs are angels on this earth.
Well, they are, and then plus the fact that there's been so many other reports about this. Like, come on. They're trying to cover something up. Maybe not about Josh, but like that school is trying to cover shit up. Like, they're not allowed to go into the Abbey
But it
area.
doesn't.
Give me a break.
I didn't mean to shut you up.
Like, that seems a little
Pedophile
sus.
priest living on campus at a monastery not far from where I'm standing. So far, nothing in this investigation has connected them with Guimon's disappearance.
I believe that if somebody did something to Joshua that had any connection to that campus whatsoever, we're never going to find him, ever. Not even a body, ever. Because they're too secretive.
She's right.
Yeah, she is right.
In the glow of the evening light,
I guess wondering if I'm ever going to see him again. Or know what happened.
the sound of a family still hoping, still praying for something lost. Others have been found, the ones who disappeared around the same time. Chris Jenkins, a U of M student, his body found in February of 2003. Michael Knoll, a student from Wisconsin, his body found a month later.
Chris Jenkins and Michael Knoll both were found in the bodies of water that they were near when they disappeared.
The other two college students' deaths were determined to be not linked to Josh's disappearance.
As those other students were located, it became even more ominous that Josh was still missing.
Because both Chris Jenkins and Michael Knoll were found in bodies of water, it seemed like we would find Josh.
When the spring came around, the theory was if Josh is in one of the lakes, the water will warm, the gases in the body will do their work, and he'll float. And I remember interviewing Katie, who said she didn't like to see the ice forming on the lakes because if he's there, that's going to trap him. She didn't like to see the ice melting because that might warm the water enough to have him float, and she didn't want that either.
It was just like a very stressful and tense time, just wondering, like, is today going to be the day?
Oh. Yeah, that's gotta be rough.
In the spring, the sheriff's office started searching the waters right away and areas around waters, eventually diving multiple times in multiple bodies of water. And I remember Brian was searching the lakes, and he's out there in a kayak.
That is one committed father.
Yeah, I was gonna say those. Not.
And I just couldn't get over the thought that what if his body floated up right next to that kayak? I mean, what would you do as a father?
If their theory was right, he should have been right there in the water. We should have walked right there, and there he is. Okay, end of story. But that wasn't the case.
But that wasn't the case.
When the sheriff's office got done with their search efforts, they concluded that Joshua was not in the water. Well, when Joshua's body didn't surface, there were so many theories about what could have happened to him. I think the most prevailing theory was probably that somebody that knew Josh or was close to Josh did something to Josh. Could be a friend, could be a roommate.
During our investigation, one of Josh's roommates told us that he'd heard an argument between Nick and Josh earlier that night before Josh went missing. And the argument involved Katie.
Josh and I dated for about 4.5 years. But by our junior year of college, we decided to end our relationship, and Josh and I broke up. When Josh disappeared, we had only been broken up.
The pictures. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It said just friends.
Just friends. I don't know.
I have to know, was that created for this show?
Oh, maybe.
Or is that what it says?
Yeah.
Like, in their own personal memories, it says just friends.
No, I don't think so.
For a couple of months.
Right after Josh disappeared, there was a lot of speculation about whether or not Nick and Katie were together, if they were ever romantically involved, if that was possibly a motive for some harm gone to Josh, or was Josh upset about them getting together after Josh and Katie broke up?
I think Nick and I did have a level of attraction toward each other. He and I did consider dating.
You know, we were close, and we discussed, you know, do we want to try to have some sort of relationship other than just being friends? But I wouldn't call it a romantic relationship with Katie. You know, I think we kissed 1, maybe 2 times, and then we decided, you know what, this isn't a route we want to go right now.
Katie and Nick both mentioned in their statements to us that they talked about Nick's desire to date Katie. Nick also drew our attention in the investigation because his timeline of his whereabouts that evening differed from Katie's original statement to us. Nick told us he left Katie's apartment at about 2:30.
And keycard records on campus showed he keyed into his dorm room at 2:42 hours on the morning of the 10th of November. In a statement with Katie, she told us he left at 1:30.
So she's saying he left at 1:30 and he didn't key in until 2:42? Is that what it was?
Correct.
So, I mean, couldn't she have been off by like a half an hour or 45 minutes? I don't know. When I'm fucking drunk as ass, I don't know what fucking time it is. 1:15, 1:20, 1:30 could all mean 1 o'clock. Like, you know what I mean? When you're if it's that late and you're that drunk, like, I don't know.
I mean, but that doesn't really play up with, like, the timeline that they gave either, right?
Yeah.
Because he
went back at 11 before he went to...
I thought they said that he didn't key back in.
No.
So he was, like, seen at, what, 12:15?
Right. Walking.
So he just...
I don't know.
I mean, it was a 5-minute walk, right?
Right.
So, like...
Something happened within that.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, if he was last seen by those witnesses crossing over that bridge, so that's already halfway of that walk.
Right.
So he's 2 minutes from his dorm?
Yeah.
So that puts him there at, what, 12:17?
Right.
And this other guy's still at Katie's.
At 1.
At least until, for another hour.
Right.
He says another 2 hours, but
yeah,
a minimum.
Minimum of at least an hour.
So, like...
Yeah. What's going on?
He just stood outside in the cold.
You've got over an hour of unaccounted time there when the drive between both campuses is roughly 7 to 10 minutes, especially at that time of night. What he's telling us at that point did not match up with what Katie said.
Nick was asked to take a polygraph by our office. Initially, he told us that he would consider, and then when that polygraph examination was scheduled, he chose not to take it.
Good.
Okay, see, that's never take a polygraph.
Never take a polygraph.
There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. They might look at it as suspicious, but it's not.
I told them no, because that's not going to do anybody any good. I don't want there to be some false positive because they're simply not reliable. There was a reason they're inadmissible in court.
This guy was going to be an attorney.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he's not like some layman, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah. No, he knows exactly what he's supposed to do.
And never take a polygraph.
And good for him.
I don't think it's necessarily abnormal or very strange that someone in that capacity wouldn't take it. The fact that he then declined it and canceled after the fact is a detail that we must consider.
No, it's not.
I don't believe I was ever directly told that I was a suspect or person of interest. I had nothing to do with Josh's disappearance, and all I could think of was they're not going in the right direction because this is the one direction I can say with certainty is the wrong one.
I never gave that theory much credence. And I was thinking if they keep looking at Nick, if they keep viewing him as a suspect and as their primary suspect, and if they're not looking anywhere else, we're never going to find Josh. My initial thought is that it was some kind of an accident. And somebody who was involved maybe tried to cover it up to avoid any kind of potential consequences.
So this area doesn't seem like that big, but when you look at the lake and the forests and everything, like it looks like it's a dense place. Like if you're just searching one time through that, there's a huge possibility that they would have missed something. I don't know how many times or how many people went through all of that, but like there's trees everywhere and it's a lot of water too to go through. So just something.
Early on, I felt like there were some people at the party who had seen him right before he disappeared. I just got this sense that, are they telling me the whole truth, the full truth, you know? Or is there something that's not flattering, that's maybe embarrassing, that happened that they just don't want anyone to know, that they just are never going to tell anybody?
Did he poop his pants?
I know.
That always stuck in the back of my head.
Like maybe just go ahead and say it.
They're all kids with goals
missing.
and aspirations, and they've got their whole life in front of them. If they know something or something happened, they have a future to protect. So it could be a motivation to hide or conceal something. But if something happened at the party, I don't think it's possible to keep 10 or 12 kids.
I was just going to say, there's no way it happened at the party because 10, 12 drunk-ass kids are not going to be quiet and have the same fucking story. It's just not going to happen. So that's no.
Silent on it.
Yeah.
I believe the kids at the party know more than they say. For them to say, Josh just got up and said he was going to the bathroom and never came back. And nobody wondered where he was. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's more to it than what they're saying.
But what more could there be?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, he's alone walking across the bridge.
Right. He just decided to leave himself. Like, why? I don't understand why that's so inconceivable. Like, they can't imagine that.
Yeah.
You know?
In the days that followed the investigation into where Josh went, investigators were still looking at additional physical evidence.
After that initial search, our office didn't remove the computer or the hard drive or anything from...
I'm so sorry. I just realized when he said he left Katie's at 2:30, and then his key card was like 10 minutes later.
Right.
Like that perfectly lines up.
Yeah.
I just...
Joshua's room.
Right.
At the time, they didn't have any reason to believe that the computer would yield any information based on the direction they were going with that early investigation. So we got access to the computer from Brian. And we were able to see that somebody had used an internet washer on Joshua's computer several days after his disappearance.
Oh. Is that like a white
The internet
room
washing
kind of thing?
program in 2002 was a program that was able to be installed from the internet onto the device, which then would allow some files to either be deleted temporarily or deleted permanently from the hard drive of a computer.
Oh, shit.
This internet washer was something that had not been done previously on this computer, and it was obviously suspicious for us and something that we want to...
Wait, so they checked his room, the initial, and then they went through the computer and just kind of looked at it, but didn't, like, take it with them? And then the next time they go to look at it, it's washed? That's sus.
That is
What the fuck?
suspicious.
Someone that knows him intimately did that.
Yeah.
To make sure we shed some more light on. It was not normal for Josh's use on the computer.
after Josh disappeared, they didn't close his room off or anything, so anybody could go in and out. So Brian made the decision to get all his stuff out of there within, I think it was 2 weeks of Josh being missing.
All the kids in that apartment could have had access to his computer.
All the kids in that
And anything
apartment.
else.
I love.
I was careful not to do anything on his computer, and I didn't want to disturb anything because it just struck me as something that may really be significant, and I was not going to be messing around with it.
It does seem odd that within days after someone goes missing, someone other than the missing person goes onto their computer and deletes files. But we don't know who, and we don't know what the files were.
If I go missing, will you please delete the files on my laptop?
Nope.
Damn it.
Well, I'm also wondering, like, what if one of the other roommates didn't have a computer, so they used Josh's computer, or like...
But they wiped everything from his computer?
For something like... Well, he says they don't know what files were wiped.
Right.
So, like, what if they were looking at maybe some unsavory things?
Oh, and they wanted to wipe their files.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So you just felt like there was more to that computer.
We did everything together. I mean, we went to college together. We started the next chapter of our life together, and I guess I just always assumed that it would be the same when we graduated.
It's actually his ex-girlfriend.
It took me a long time to realize and to accept that Josh was actually a missing person. I kept expecting him to be at class or to show up at mock trial or just to just be back at campus. It took me a long time to really accept that he might not come back.
He was my best friend, and up here on campus, he was my family.
I still remember graduation in 2003. It was, for most of the people there, obviously they're really happy. It's a joyous day. I felt none of that. I just wanted to be done.
I missed him so much. It was like I lost a part of myself. We were really close, and I felt a little lost without him.
It's been 5 years since a St. John student was last seen. No one knows exactly what happened to Josh Guimau. Still, his family and friends hope for his return.
It's worse now. It's worse because, it's like this is the day that marks the 5th year that he's been gone, and we have no idea
That's gotta be so
what
hard.
happened, where he is.
Just not knowing.
Oh, yeah. Your mind always wants to make things up, and it likes
specific thing to bringing us
shit.
to what happened. Almost everything was considered. And specifically in 2008, the thing that I began looking at was Josh's computer. Different people have looked at the actual original hard drive. But in 2008, additional technology started giving me some new investigative things to look at, some different possibilities. I took that hard drive down to the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, set it up in their lab, and since that time, that computer really has been the most central part of the investigation. We learned the internet washer that we found on Joshua's computer in 2002. It would only delete browser history, cookies, things of that nature. It wouldn't wipe out a ton of data. So we still had the vast majority of the contents of the computer.
So, like, that's what
that makes sense.
I'm saying, like,
pretty mundane, normal stuff that you would expect.
one of his roommates or someone used that computer to probably look at
jerk off
porn and did not want the police to know what kind of porn they like. That's my guess.
Because it fucking matters in the long run.
It does. To see on a college kid's computer. The things that started to pique my interest that this could be a key to solving the case were he was spending time on Yahoo Personals.
We identified 3 different profiles that we believe were used by Josh, one of which has his partial part of it.
I didn't know there was a Yahoo's Personal.
Dude, did you ever read Craigslist Misconnection?
Yes.
That was like my favorite pastime for a
hilarious.
while.
Yeah, we would do that at work.
Funny. So funny.
They are pretty good.
His name and his zip code for the area he lived. And then 2 other ones portray himself as a female. One is Coochie Coo 2002 and the other one is Gwen Girl Big Jugs.
Big Jugs.
We know with follow-up with the individuals later on that he was chatting online with men and portraying himself as a female.
Oh, he was portraying himself as a female.
Hold on. I just want to point out that I really love that the AOL chat room experience of like lying to people was not just for 11-year-olds.
No.
It was a universal
Everybody.
experience. Everybody did it. And I love the anonymity of being able to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll never happen again.
No.
And it was a glorious, lawless time. So, that's all. I'm glad to know that I was doing it as a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Josh was doing it as a college student. I'm sure you were doing it.
I was doing it as a
Everyone
teenager.
was doing
Yep.
it. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like the great equalizer.
Yeah.
We're all
The
the same.
examination of Joshua's computer leads me to believe he might have had some secrets that he didn't want to share with people. Some of the things that were on his computer would lead to...
Okay, doesn't everybody have some secrets that they don't want to share with people? Why is that like such an issue? Like that shouldn't be, I don't think that should be said. No, he's got some issues. I'm like, no shit. There's a shit ton of things that I don't want people to know about me. That I don't just like walk around screaming at the top of my lungs. That doesn't mean I'm like a bad person, right? Okay, maybe not me, but other people have.
Maybe some other better person. I mean,
like I just don't think that, like, don't go there.
Yeah, but like in the context of this being an investigation, and it's like this guy is talking to these other people and also pretending to be a woman.
Right.
Like maybe he pissed someone off.
Yeah, maybe.
You to believe that maybe he was looking for casual encounters of some kind, trying to meet people online that he didn't necessarily share with anyone. He might have been exploring his sexuality, but at the same time, the pornography that he looked at and had on his computer ranged from heterosexual to homosexual pornography. And nobody that we interviewed really had any belief or information or any indication that he was homosexual or transgender.
I don't think Josh was gay. I never got that impression from him. I wasn't aware of him exploring anything like that while we were together when I knew him.
I never saw any sign that he...
Did she fuck him?
Like, she did.
I mean, how do you know?
They were together 4.5 years.
Yeah, but maybe they were saving themselves.
He was gay.
She didn't say, like...
So that would surprise me considerably.
I mean, and that's not a definitive answer either.
From looking at that account, your mind kind of wanders. What would you do if you were the person interacting with the profile he set up, and you found out you were talking to a 20-year-old male college student at St. John's? What would that cause someone to do if they found that out? Certainly it would be embarrassing. Would it drive you to the point of saying, I want to find out who did that? I want to go meet that person. Do I want to go do harm to that person? I don't know what it would cause people to think. That crossed my mind.
One of the theories is that Josh potentially met someone on an instant messaging chat site and ended up chatting with them ahead of time to line up maybe some sort of meetup, which could explain why abruptly he left in the middle of the night. And maybe meeting with someone that he maybe didn't fully know, and something happened to him.
See, this does seem logical. If he was in a chat room and he was getting somewhere and the dogs picked up his scent until the road, obviously someone picked him up, or he went over and it's in the water, but they searched the water and nothing came up. So he got in the car and drove away with someone.
Which makes sense, but didn't the witnesses say that they didn't see him or another car?
But maybe they just like walked around the corner and some car came after that. Like, who knows how long? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe they were on acid.
So we looked at all of the St. John's life safety incident reports that they had back then. Life Safety Services is the name for the security staff on campus. So we're just looking for any complaints about suspicious activity, just to look for suspicious vehicles, suspicious people, and people on campus that were not affiliated with the campus in any way. And there was 2 incident reports specifically that really piqued my interest. In both of those instances, there was a vehicle that Life Safety Services had seen in various different places on campus on 2 different nights in 2002, prior to Joshua's disappearance. There are several other areas on campus that are dark, not well lit, a little more remote on the outskirts of campus that aren't used typically at night. That
Can we please light up the places that are not lit up on a college campus? When they say there's dark areas, no, put a fucking floodlight up and have it safe for everybody to be walking. That's all I have to say about that.
people would frequent for meetings or hookups. The places the car was seen were consistent with that kind of hookup area.
Campus security stated that the incident reports that when they drove up to the vehicle, they noticed a college-aged male get out of the front passenger seat and run off into the darkness. Life safety in the first report detailed that the person that took off running was a college-aged male. They weren't able to tell much more than that. But in the second report, life safety was able to speak with another college-aged male who was in the front passenger seat of that vehicle. Life safety detailed in both reports that the passenger in the front passenger seat was not identified in either case. The incident reports specifically state what the vehicle was, and they described it as an orange Pontiac Sunfire.
What the fuck is a sunflower?
Sunfire.
Sunfire.
I don't think they make that car anymore. It's too old.
Obtained a license plate number,
We're too
a
old.
vehicle description, and in one instance had stopped and spoken with this individual.
I do want to just add that I think that anyone who owns an orange car has something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
My
He
ex-boyfriend
told them he was
has an orange
dropping
car.
off a student on
Anyone
campus.
who voluntarily gets an orange car has an issue.
We
Orange
have
is the
been
worst
in
color.
contact with the individual from the incident reports, and he provided us the same explanation that he did at the time, was that he was dropping off a student from another campus.
He's the first Uber in Minnesota.
And we had interest in finding the vehicle to see if there would be any forensic evidence indicating whether this individual had any contact with Joshua. Unfortunately, it's not available to us because that vehicle has been crushed.
Weird.
We would like to identify the student youth
Yeah.
with and ask how they met this individual, what the purpose of the meeting was, just to see if it's in any way related to Joshua's disappearance. If this person is frequenting the campus, we want to know if he had any encounters or interactions with Joshua.
But also, our sheriff's office is interested in speaking with anybody who had contact.
Oh, so I guess maybe it's not that weird because this happened in 2002.
2002,
And
yeah.
they weren't looking at the computer until 6 years later.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's true.
contact with this male individual in a Pontiac Sunfire, orange in color, or any other person who might have come on campus for whatever reason at that time. Investigators have reviewed some of the identified male photos from Josh's Yahoo user account, and that individual in a Pontiac Sunfire was not found to match any of those.
I do think that Joshua's computer activity and specifically being on Yahoo Personals might have contributed to his disappearance. It seems probable that he was on a dating site or trying to meet people, and I think it's probably our most likely avenue or theory. When we imaged the hard drive, we saw a lot of different images, and some of them are directly linked to his Yahoo Personal site. We have quite a few photos that we would like the public's help in identifying so that we can go out and speak to these people to see if they have any connection to Joshua at all.
number 12 is a suspect.
Frightening as fuck.
I'm not sure if number 12 is a suspect in this case, but he's a suspect in something.
Holy shit. So these are a list of men that they want to talk with?
These are pictures they found from Josh's
like what he was
personals.
looking at their profiles.
Engage. Speaking
Okay.
with them.
And there's 21 of them.
Number 12.
Number 12. Seriously, not okay.
Number 12. Like, I'm pretty sure number 3 stole their picture off of Google, and number 12 did not.
Number 12's got issues. We'll post a picture of number 12.
I'm not sure who he killed, but it's someone.
If they've ever met Joshua and why they might
Oh, there's
appear
more than
on
21.
his computer hard drive.
That's a lot of men for not being homosexual.
I hung Joshua's photo on the wall.
How, like, what is the number? Is it like you could do like 1 or 2?
Well, like if I was on my Yahoo personal ads, they'd all be men. I wouldn't be looking for women. I'd be looking for men. So if he wasn't gay, as his friends say, why would there be 30 men that he's in contact with and have pictures of it on his... You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe he's questioning things.
Right, which is fine.
For everybody that's coming through this office, because we still have this unsolved case. And we have to have that constant daily reminder that it's there, so it's not forgotten. It's important to me personally. Disappointment in this case is...
The road ahead is a long and difficult one. Fortunately, we have been very well equipped to celebrate the conclusion of the last chapter of the first volume of our lives.
Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that we would be 20 years later and still have no idea what happened to him.
Josh would be 39 now, and I would assume he would be a lawyer, if not a senator already.
He would be president.
He was going to go to some elite law school, maybe Yale, and then come back to his hometown of Maple Lake, open up his law practice.
Oh, Josh would be the president of the United States right now if he hadn't disappeared. If not president, on his way to being president.
Be a better candidate.
I always told Josh, when you grow up in your big political career, just remember, I'm living in the west wing of the mansion, and you're building your father a cabin way up north in the woods.
Are they not together anymore?
I'll do that for you, Mom.
I think Josh probably had secrets. Maybe they got him killed. I don't know. I wish that whoever knew those secrets would come forward. Bring him to light.
He's our son. We want to know what happened to him. We love him. It doesn't make any difference. He's my son.
That's it.
That's it.
If you have information about the disappearance of Joshua, call the Stearns County Sheriff Office, 320-259-3700, or go to unsolved.com.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
And if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.